is that race becomes a lot more of an issue for renegotiation for people once they get successful, right? And I think a lot of people confuse success for whiteness. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to make this episode because I've been seeing a lot of people talking about and questioning the blackness of Doja Cat, Meghan Markle, some biracial black people who are like public figures. They are also women. And me, as a biracial black woman myself, I am extremely invested in how the internet is perceiving biracial black women, and also how the internet specifically questions women's blackness in a way that they don't seem to have the interest to do to men. Now, okay, I saw a video today talking about Doja Cat and saying Doja Cat is not a black woman. I had no problem with the video, by the way. I also am very desensitized to people invalidating biracial people's identity these days, because I've been on the internet for like over a year, maybe 2 years now. And that's just something it starts to really mean nothing. Like, I don't take it personally if people are like, you're not black, you should be calling yourself black, you should be calling yourself mixed, why aren't you calling yourself black, why don't you acknowledge your white side, you're white passing. No, she's not white passing. It has nothing to do with me. It's about other people's perception, right? But when I saw this person talking about Doja Cat, I found it very interesting because Doja has done some very anti-black things, right? Let's be clear about that. I have a YouTube video about that from forever ago too. She's done, in case you don't know actually, because everybody might not know this, she basically is known for like saying the N-word in incel chat groups. So a group full of white men who are like creepy and weird, basically, and just kind of like performing for them in a way that's very strange. We all also understand that Doja Cat is a strange person, right? I don't pretend to understand why she does the things that she does. I do think she makes good music. I do think she's a good performer, right? And so what this creator was talking about was that they don't think Doja Cat is a black woman because they think if Doja Cat could choose to be white today, she would. And apparently Doja Cat cut off her type 4 hair. Maybe I think something about, maybe Doja made a comment about how she wasn't supposed to have that type of hair, which is a strange thing to say, right? But it's also hard for me to fault her for cutting off her hair, because a lot of women with hair that they don't want to have to deal with cut off their hair and wear wigs. Speaking of hair, I've seen a lot of people talking about Meghan Markle recently, because Meghan Markle is up and around the news recently. She has her new podcast called Archetypes. You know, obviously a lot of stuff with the royal family and blackness, and I think there was something about, you know, she didn't feel like she had the black experience until she got to the royal family, which is interesting, right? And people talking about, you know, obviously look at her hair is always straight. People saying when I watched Suits, I thought she was a white woman. When I watched Suits, I definitely was unsure about her race, because she does appear very racially ambiguous, I would say, particularly Meghan Markle. Doja Cat, to me, looks like a black woman, but I understand the upset, specifically with Doja Cat, right? I understand she goes for mostly white men. She puts herself in like incel chat rooms and says inappropriate things. And I guess she's done other stuff. She made a song that was like inappropriate, I think. Maybe using the word monkey, I don't even remember. But all of these things she has done, right? She has done to the detriment of herself and her own blackness. Now, what I'm getting at is that men kind of are allowed to do, black men, famous black men, are allowed to do this kind of thing. They're just doing it to women, so it gets put under the umbrella of misogyny, and therefore nobody questions their blackness. Exhibit A. Kanye West. I love Kanye West. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think he's a genius. Do I think he has a lot of anti-blackness in him? I think that's a possibility, because, you know, look at his track record. He historically looks for white women, or spicy white, okay? White women to dress up like dolls, right? Like Julia Fox was hired as the role of his girlfriend / doll. And now he has a new Julia Fox. Kim was Julia before, right? Well, or you could say Julia is the new Kim, ex-Kim, and the new Julia is the ex-Kim. I digress. He looks for, mannequin. He looks for a mannequin to dress up as his, like, side person. Obviously he's into fashion, so he wants a doll. He looks for a specific kind of doll. They have historically been white women. I remember he dated Amber Rose for a little bit, but he was also very mean about it. She's also light-skinned. Anyways, so then he marries Kim, right? They split up. He has a rampage on the internet about how this white woman is going to ruin his daughters. And am I supposed to feel bad? Am I supposed to feel bad for you that you chose a white woman and now you're worried about what this white woman is going to do to your daughter? Because I don't feel bad, right? You look at that. That's Exhibit A. Exhibit B for him, obviously, Trump era, Kanye. Obviously, slavery is a choice, Kanye, right? Does any of this make people really question his blackness? Not really, right? That's not something that's really been questioned. Do they question his sanity? Sure. But a lot of what he's done that is misogynoir and is anti-blackness paired with misogyny, he gets away with. And he's still going to go down in history as one of the most influential, important black men ever, right? And if we're talking about hair, specifically about hair, if we're talking about Doja Cat cutting off her type 4 hair, well, how many rappers do we know that talk specifically about not wanting women with 4C hair, about not wanting dark-skinned women, about only going for light-skinned women, or lighter than light-skinned women, or if it's not snowing, I'm not going? How many times do we hear that even just in lyrics, right? Does this make us question any of their blackness? No, because it gets put under the guise of preference. And even if we do say something about it, we say that these men are colorist, but we don't say that they're anti-black, and we don't question their blackness. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand the difference? Because for me with Doja Cat, I understand why people would question her blackness. You know, even Nas has the song Ultra Black, opposite of Doja Cat, right? I just find it interesting how, like, if a woman makes an inch in that direction, cut her off. A man could walk several miles in that direction, and he's still a boss. And he's still gonna go down in history as one of the best black men ever. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the famous black men have made bad comments about dark-skinned black women, right? And that is anti-blackness. But they have a scapegoat because it goes with misogyny. And, like, you know, if we're talking about hair, we're talking about Doja cutting off her hair, like, black men can just go find Becky with the good hair, and they can cheat on their black woman with Becky with the good hair, and yet they're still gonna go down in history. If we're talking about Jay-Z, by the way, that was a Jay-Z reference. They're still gonna go down in history as one of the best black men ever. So what is blackness? So what are we really getting at? Because, again, with Meghan Markle too, I think what the pattern I'm noticing is that race becomes a lot more of an issue for renegotiation for people once they get successful, right? And I think a lot of people confuse success for whiteness. And I think, for me, what's making black men be colorist is also what's making Doja Cat have, like, anti-black qualities. Because I am sure, especially because I'm pretty sure she has white mom, black dad, I am sure that her childhood and her ideas of white femininity and success have influenced what she's doing. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm sure if she did make a comment about, you know, I don't picture myself with this kind of hair, it's because I think she probably has an idea of what a successful person looks like, and maybe to her that's white. Do you know what I'm saying? In the same way that I think a lot of black men, when they get successful, they go, okay, well, what do I have access to now that I didn't have before? White girls, rich white girls, upper class white girls. Okay, that's the prize that my eyes are on now. And even though I still have these black women around me supporting me, and maybe I'll still associate with them so that I can keep my, you know, black validity card and pretend that I care about my community while I actually might be stacking my money just to get away from the struggle. And we know that there are famous black men who do that. They get a lot of, I'm not black, I'm OJ. You know what I'm saying? Even thinking of Jay-Z saying that, it's Jay-Z who says that, right? It's Jay-Z or Kanye who has a line in one of their songs, I'm not black, I'm OJ, okay? It's saying a lot. It's saying a lot. It's saying a lot of, I think black men get excused for the ways that they are anti-black because for them it's in the name of success. However, when women do it, even though I think for them, they're also thinking that their anti-blackness is in the name of success. But because they're women, they're the first ones to get pitchforked about you're anti-black, you're anti-black, you're anti-black. And part of me is thinking, did we ever consider that these famous women, I'm not even talking about Meghan Markle, I think she's a different case. She's more about a product of perception. But in the case of Doja Cat, do we ever consider that Doja Cat's anti-blackness came from her feeling anti-blackness towards her? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, for me, it's a lot similar to internalized misogyny, especially in the case of Doja Cat, because she is her own victim. In a way, she only is making herself look bad. She's only showing self-hatred to herself, whereas a lot of times when black men are doing it, they're showing it to black women. So you know how with internalized misogyny, women might grow up and have a lot of internalized misogyny because they've received a lot of misogyny throughout their life. I think that could be similar to Doja Cat's situation. Maybe she does have a lot of anti-blackness in her because she's received a lot of anti-blackness, or it's a situation where she's literally confusing success for whiteness or proximity to whiteness. And I understand what people are saying in regards to they don't know if the part of her that does feel hip-hop R&B, they don't know if it's authentic. But again, it's hard for me because there's a lot of non-black bitches doing R&B and hip-hop, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I don't know. I think the court is out on Doja Cat. I'm not like extra upset with somebody who seems to have a hard time accepting themselves when we still aren't holding accountable the people who aren't accepting and are deliberately putting down other people. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Doja Cat did nothing wrong. I think obviously she displays some heavy anti-blackness, and then she does utilize it in her music, in her vibe. But I think how many black rappers do we celebrate when all of their music videos include white women with BBL shaking ass right behind them and they get celebrated? Like, it's just, it's too much irony for me. It's too much irony for me to put just Doja Cat on the stand and be like, okay, well, what about you fuckers? What about all these men who every video and every song is, oh, I need a yellow bone, like, that's my type, and their blackness is never in question. And so then my mind goes to, okay, well, what is it even about those of us who are calling it out, and the people who are calling out anti-blackness, and the people who are pointing at Doja Cat as like, it's crazy. I think what's nuts to me is that we're all pointing at Doja Cat, who is a biracial black person. Okay? She's not monoracial, she's biracial. And everybody's saying, you, biracial black women, are not displaying enough love for your black womanhood. And we're pointing at this biracial black woman for not accepting all of her blackness, and we're not even gonna look at all of the black men who have, okay, let me back up a little bit, because I know that there's gonna be black men going crazy, blah, 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 at 80% marry black women. Okay, I understand a lot of black men do love black women, okay? I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about them right now. I'm talking about people like Kanye West who wear Trump hats and say slavery was a choice and pick only white women and then get praised as the black god. That's what I'm talking about. And it's like, of course, in a world where some of the most influential black men say bad things about dark-skinned women, say bad things, and, you know, like A$AP Rocky saying red lipstick doesn't look good on dark-skinned women, and every song Future has ever made. Like, it's just like the narrative that we are getting coming from a lot of black men who have the mic is that black women are not as attractive, specifically dark-skinned women, specifically with kinky hair. So then does it make sense to only point at the woman who has felt that sort of being shunned? Like, to me, this is A plus B equals C. This is cause and effect. If you tell black women they're not beautiful, are they going to feel like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I think there is going to be some of that being internalized. And I think it's not fair to not also look at the men who perpetuate that narrative, specifically within the black community, especially when their black card is never getting questioned. And it's just a little bit backwards to me. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's like, if we have all these black men who say, this is what blackness is, and this is my black identity, and this is my white girlfriend with her straight hair, and I hate your hair, and I wouldn't date somebody who is half as dark as you, and you still want to look at the women who are affected by this and say, you suck, you're the issue. Do we understand that maybe we're not addressing the root, and maybe we're trimming the leaf here? Do you see what I'm saying? Does anybody get my point? In regards to Meghan Markle, I think Meghan Markle is interesting because, yeah, she does seem very, quote-unquote, white-passing, right? Especially when she's always having straight hair. She's very light-skinned. She has a very, in my opinion, European-looking nose. Like, she just has a very, like, small, straight, like, European beauty standard nose. Do you know what I'm saying? And, you know, she does have a black mother, and she's close with her black mother. And so I don't think her perception really has much to do with her. I think, you know, probably moving throughout the world before she became royal was probably a lot different for her. But I think once you go to the royal family, like, they're so white, like pristine. Not pristine, what's the word I'm looking, proscenium? What is that, like, metal? You know what I'm talking about. Like, alabaster, now I'm just naming shades of things. You know, porcelain. Porcelain. The word is porcelain. I was like, I'm thinking of a glass. I'm thinking of a vase. The royal family is so, like, porcelain, right, white, that even, like, a super white passing girl is just, it's not gonna cut it for them. Do you know what I'm saying? And they start calling her the N-word, and I'm like, that's crazy. Because they're about, like, you know, bloodlines, royal, God's choice. Like, that's a different world. That's a different kind of racism. Like, the whole, we need our bloodline to be pure porcelain. So I think maybe she wasn't prepared for that. But I think the discussions about her race are very interesting because it's completely based on her perception. And I think, you know, people being like, oh, when I watched Suits, I didn't even know she was black. I think it's because she particularly appears very racially ambiguous, which kind of proves that depending on your environment, your experience is going to be extremely different. And I think she went to probably the worst environment possibly for that, or possible for that. And, you know, I think about her child who was like 25% black, right? And the royal family even having issues with her child. Like a sliver, a 25% becomes an issue. And it's like, that is kind of what I'm saying in regards to success and whiteness in some places. They just need them to go together. So in the royal family, if you want to be in the royal family, you need to be 100% white. If you are 25% white, we have an issue. And I think that being a fact is why we have to consider, in the case of Doja Cat, in the case of Meghan Markle, the way that they are curating themselves is very much informed by their environment and what they think about their environment and how they think they're going to be safe in their environment. And I don't recommend Doja Cat anything she's done, right? Like the incel chat rooms and things like that. I just think that her doing that is out of self-hate. Do you know what I'm saying? And like like not feeling like her being black is safe and can get her where she wants to go, which is a messed up thing to be feeling. But I also think that we have to look at the narratives that everybody, including certain members of the black community, have created and perpetuated of black women are not accepted, are not attractive, are not good enough, are not allowed in successful spaces. I think that's all I had to say. I think that's most of my point. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like Doja Cat still? Are you still going to listen to her music? Do you agree that her anti-blackness should wipe her off the charts? Yeah. Let me know. Let me know down below. And I will text you next. Text you. LOL. Yeah, you'll be getting a text from me in the next coming days. Just kidding. I will talk to you next time.